get there, and then it went away, and I was like, oh no, I guess he left.
Well, go now. Technology, you gotta love it.
Hey, Frank.
Yeah.
I have a quick request. We have 2 new employees here that I wanted to give them each a chance to introduce themselves to the board.
Absolutely.
But I wanted to do that early on instead of making them stay.
What would you like us to say about ourselves?
Just a short introduction. Just
Okay.
you choose your name, what your new job is, and then after that, up to you.
Okay. I guess I'll start. I'm Abby Buckham. I'll be the new CMS supervisor. I've lived in Flagstaff for about 6 years, and I really like it here, and I'm glad that I get to be here.
Very good. Thank you.
And I'm Becca Wills. I'm the new bookmobile librarian, and I come back to Flagstaff where I went to middle school and high school. By way of Madison, although I was also at the Prescott Public Library for a while and in Cochise County, the library district there. I have not driven a bookmobile before, but I have done lots of similar kinds of outreach.
Welcome. That's going to be great. Both of you will be great additions.
Thank you. I appreciate it on short notice.
Yeah.
All right. So let's go ahead and call the meeting to order. And if we could get a motion to call the meeting to order, please.
Oh, you don't have to motion for that. You can just call it.
Oh, wrong meeting. Okay, so let's go to roll call.
Frank Garcia,
Here.
Lisa Gainey,
Here.
Catherine Moore.
Here.
Katie Quick,
Yeah.
Judy Begay. Okay.
All right, very good. Well, welcome everyone. I do not see anyone for public participation, or do we have someone?
Nope.
All right. So the next thing that we need is an approval of the minutes that Amelia sent out. If no one needs a few minutes to look those over, I'll accept the motion now to approve those minutes, or do we need a minute?
I'm good to make a motion to approve them if everyone's cool with them.
Okay, so I have a motion. Need a second?
I can second.
Thank you, Lisa. All right, so we have a motion and a second. All those in favor of approving the minutes, please say aye.
Aye.
And do we have any nays in the group? Okay. And then this next one, communications and disclosures from board liaisons and staff. Linda or Amelia, could you catch me up on this one? I'm not sure what this should entail.
This is just a chance for anyone to communicate something that they wanted to communicate, but learned recently and there wasn't time to, say, get it in a report, or, I mean, it's a chance for board members too, if there's something they want to communicate to the whole board.
So
Okay.
anything that doesn't fall under anything else that you want to make sure is mentioned.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. Does anybody have any communication or disclosures that they would like to let the board know about?
I would just communicate that our Deputy Director of City Services is here in town and is going to start on Monday. Wow. Drove here from Wisconsin.
Wow.
So we're pretty excited about that.
Good deal. All right, anyone else? Okay, so let's jump into Linda's director's report.
Okay, I'll just highlight a few things and then entertain any questions that people might have. So one of the big things going on in youth services is the Smoky Bear Reading Challenge, which I think is probably very appropriate for this area.
Mm-hmm.
So that's going on, and also one of the programs that folks were pretty excited about was the Artist Resistance with Ed Cavodi. So, and there are just, I won't go through them all because you have the report, but there have just been a number of fun and interesting and exciting adult programs. I actually had this report with me at a economic vitality team meeting, and I was pointing out some of the things that were going on at the library, and a person from the beautification department was so excited about our art class on pointillism that she's going to look into potentially providing funding for more art classes like that. So that was kind of exciting. East Flagstaff Library has an updated children's area, so you have some nice photos of that you can see in your report. And then another really fun thing and applicable to a community thing is that the Forest Lakes Library is now supplying emergency radios for the community. And I think I mentioned before that Brian Hawk, although not traditionally, educated as a librarian, really gets the part about meeting the needs of your community. He's done ATV safety, which makes so much sense. If you've ever been to Forest Lakes and seen all the ATVs, including little kids, and so now the emergency radios, I think in such an isolated area, that's great. And it's also a partnership with the community, which is also great.
Is that a checkout item or is it just a permanent?
When he says supplying and that it's from the fire department, I believe they're giving people the radios, they're distributing them.
Yeah, he's partnering with the fire department.
Handing them out.
Yes.
Nice.
So that's a fun one. Damaris has been assisting the Grand Canyon with doing some weeding of materials, kind of getting rid of some of the older things and making room for some newer and most requested things, and just generally sprucing up how the collection looks up there. Those were kind of some of the big things, and you got to meet our bookmobile librarian and our new CMS supervisor. So we're very excited that they are here too. And then the last thing is, and this is kind of a longer item in my report, but I did want to give you an update about, we have had a meeting with a number of city and county leaders to talk about the study of the library structure, how we're connected to the county and the whole structure of the organization. And also they're going to look at how we are dispersing the funds, and does that method still make sense? Is it the best way to do it? And I do think that the questions that the consultant asked were very relevant and very on point, and the consultant was able to get some nice background from Steve Peru, who was here 30 years ago when the original study was done that created the current structure. So that was nice to have Steve there to provide that background. And so I just want to regularly be updating the board and letting you know where we are with that. Amelia and I will be on the steering committee along with Corey Ringenberg. And Corey, feel free to chime in if you think I missed an important point in what I've communicated. And then also Steve Peru. So all of us will be working with the consultant, and he will also be going out and getting input from other stakeholders through the process. I don't know if anyone has questions about any of that.
So the goal is to rewrite or edit the IGA, or to make something completely new?
There's Corey, and maybe Corey has something to add, but the idea really, I will say, is to have an outside look, because there are parts of our structure and how we do things that are pretty clunky, is the word that has been used. and was used in this meeting I described. So it's really to have that outside look and say, would it be much more streamlined to do this? What is the best way to serve the residents of the county and the city the best way possible, the best service we can and funding we can? And so having this outside look at this, I think is gonna be great. And the project manager who's heading up the project for the consultant is a public library director, or was, for the city of Westminster in Colorado. So he has a real feel for it, and he even gave an example of a situation where there were two different funding entities, and it came time to do a major capital project, and they found out how strong or not strong their agreements were when that came up. So he has a feel for this sort of thing. And Corey, I keep talking, I haven't let you say anything.
No, you're doing great. I really appreciate the questions because obviously this is something that hasn't been done since 1997. But part of the value of having a library district is bringing all of the libraries together, having a strength and a unity. But with that, there is some clunkiness, as Linda had mentioned, and we want to streamline that process. We want to make sure that everyone is receiving the best service possible. And we don't know what's out there. We don't know what's available. And having a third party come in, objectively look at what's available to us, really look at what are our assets objectively, and then compare us throughout the state. What is relevant to Arizona? What can be applied in Arizona, and say, hey, here's a structure that could streamline it, give everyone an equitable state within the district. This is how new libraries can be formed in the district. Here are how different processes can take place to help the district. We just want to make sure that everyone is heard, and we have an inclusive process. But let us not forget, since 97, maybe some things have changed. The modality of delivery of service may have changed. How you deliver library services is not the same. So we want to also evaluate how you're performing the business you're providing. So all of that is going into this process, and it really is just to make sure we are providing the best service. And we want to make sure that all the libraries are involved and informed along the way. So that's the biggest thing. It's just getting started, but we want to make sure everyone's informed as the steps go along the way. Also, all of the agencies and stakeholders will be given the information. So this isn't going to be this super secret box where all the information goes in and no one knows what's going on. We're all on this education journey together. And me being the non-library person here, I love it because I'm learning so much about the wonderful services that each library provides, but we're also in this journey together. How can we do it better? How can we provide every resident across Coconino County that equitable delivery of service? So I just wanted to say thank you to Linda for bringing this opportunity to all of the libraries in Coconino County.
Frank is muted.
Of course I am. So with the bookmobile, is it in service or are we still training the driver?
I'm sorry, yeah, she is working on getting her CDL. But she had jumped right in. She's already been to the bookmobile garage and has weeded almost the entire collection. And what she's keeping, she's cleaned up, and is putting back on and recataloging. And she also noticed that the phone number that is on the bookmobile is from like 5 years ago when we didn't have those exchanged. So we've got to figure out a way to fix that. We've been driving around for like 5 years, which of course is really only a year because it hasn't been out in 4 years with the wrong phone number on it. So she's been really great. She has jumped right in.
Very good. Any other questions about the director's report? Okay, hearing none, let's move on to the book clubs and program planning. Lauren?
Wait, the what?
No, it's Library Foundation and.
Oh, I'm sorry, the Library Foundation, sorry. Was reading the wrong thing.
Sorry, we were all kind
It's a
of
good thing you guys are here to keep me in line.
my agenda.
Nat, you wanna go first?
Sure. I'm Nat White, I'm with the Library Foundation. First want to start off with last spring, we started to lose Corey, who did a great job in the few months that she was on. That's the liaison from this to our foundation. And Catherine was at the first meeting last Thursday. Really sharp lady. Heard what was going on, asked appropriate questions, active member of the board right away, first step. So thanks for being here. Just a recap. The purpose of the foundation is it's a nonprofit to solicit funds to enhance the library in one way or another. We also can accept gifts other than money. So it's a broad ability to accept money for the college. I mean, I was doing this all last time. I'm on the board of the community college. So for the library, it's really an important, I think, conduit to bring in money from the outside to the library. It doesn't have to go through the city, this or that. It's all foundation. And what value that is to the library, and this is what we do, and the Friends does it the same way. We ask the director to ask all of the staff in all of the libraries, what are some of the things you'd like to do and there isn't money for it, or what are the things you'd like to purchase, capital things that just are not in the budget, and they provide that information to the director, and the director, who knows the budget inside and out, and Amelia too.
Especially.
And they say, well, we do have money for this, or we do have partial funding for this. So maybe this request could be either not necessary or maybe partially requested. And then the board gets those requests. And then we, as we did last Thursday, go through the draft and decide, yeah, this makes sense, or we ask questions about this, or why do we need a dishwasher, and can't we get a dishwasher one way or another, and there was good arguments for it. So the dishwasher was included, and we ended up funding about $25,200 in enhancements to whatever service or need there was out there that was brought to us. And that's the process. The update, the only update I have other than what I've just given you, welcoming our new liaison, is that we're about, the foundation is about $450,000 now. So generally it's about 4% that the Arizona Community Foundation, who we have the contract with and manages the endowment, produces each year, but sometimes it can be more than that. And more than that goes right back into the endowment. So the endowment is growing on itself. It's kind of like incest. No, that's not the right thing. But out of that comes that 4% each year. So that is how the endowment works. And as I say, it is a conduit to help the libraries, all of the libraries, do their job in a little bit better way than, or at least have a little bit more opportunities than they might not otherwise. If there are any questions?
I had a question.
Yes.
I'm thinking about last week's meeting. The donations that come in the, like they mail them here and however they do it, does that go into the endowment, or is that just set aside to be part of what we?
No, that goes directly in, all donations go into the permanent endowment. And it's
I
only
mean, it's
the
the interest
interest
that we get to spend.
that spends, and it is a permanent endowment. So if we stop putting money into it, it still would produce a certain amount each year, and it would continue to grow, as I mentioned, because if the market makes 7%, if they're doing great, 3% of it goes back into the endowment, 4% basically comes to us.
Okay.
Yeah, and
So it
that,
doesn't ever lose money, like the investment?
no. Well, I hope it doesn't. I mean, I'm sure if we have a
As long as the
tremendous,
stock market doesn't.
Yeah,
the money that's in there would be there,
right.
yeah. But we probably wouldn't be putting much money in it.
Oh, I see, we wouldn't get a lot out if
Yes.
the interest rate was low.
That's right.
Gotcha.
Yeah, the 4% is not, I have to look at the contract, but I don't think it is guaranteed, but it's low enough that at least over the last 30 years, there's been more than 4% that the endowment has made. So,
Gotcha.
sounds like we have a
I
question.
just have, it's sort of, can we exchange information, because I keep missing the meeting and like not being in my calendar properly for the lead. Since I'm the liaison for you guys too. Can we exchange information before you run off?
Oh, sure.
Thank you.
And Charlie is usually, I should mention that. The bylaws say that the chair of this organization, and the chair of the Friends are voting members of this board. Okay, but it also says, or their designee. And that's how you got here, and that's how Corey got here. And generally, your designee is Charlie Silva,
Yeah,
and he can come to be at the board.
yeah, he was saying that he wanted me to take over, so we were like trying that process and like I just.
Sure, we can talk.
Miss it, yeah.
And work out that. But are there any questions?
I don't have any questions, but I want to say thank you very much to the foundation for all the things for To The Cities, stuff for their teams, and Grand Canyon for the teams.
Yeah.
And, the stuff for Forest Lakes. We are so excited to be able to do extra things that, especially as branches, we don't have a very big budget, and we sure appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Oh, that's great to hear. If you could put that in the email to me, I'll share it with the board, because they would really like to hear that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And the email is, but it's easy, white@lowell.edu. Last name plus where I used to work, plus edu. Again, I would like to say that we were able to distribute 25,000, I'll give you the exact number, but I think I did. $25,220. And it's tickle pink. So thank you.
Thank you, Nat.
Hey,
Anything else with the foundation and friends?
Well,
So
Yep.
I am Jennifer Garcia with the Friends. I'm the president currently of the board. This is Matthew, my son. He's an honorary. So the Friends is similar to the foundation in that we help support the library through requests from the library of what extra they need or want. And we average between 20 and 30,000 a year that we're able to fund, and it's all from donations. Some years it has been a little bit less because a few less donations, but on average, that's about where we're at. We average between 40 and 50 members, which the membership dues are part of the donations. We have a year-long ongoing book sale at both the main and the east branch. And that brings in about 20,000 a year on average. We also facilitate a Copper Quill Award to local authors who are voted on by the previous winners. So they determine and we just provide the award. That started in 1995 with Scott Tropany. I'm probably pronouncing his name wrong. There you go. Okay. I'm gonna take your word for it. I don't personally know him, so I'm not sure how to pronounce last name. But those are some of the things we do. So we get donations, membership, and book sales. We have an annual book sale that we actually just finished this weekend and this last weekend, and it went really well. I don't have all the numbers yet, but yeah, it seemed to come smoothly. So, any?
I might
All right,
add,
thank,
yep, I might add to this, these are two different organizations that produce money, but they do it in two different ways. And the Friends is a pass-through. They raise money and they have a membership and everything, and that money goes directly to the to the library. And foundation, as I mentioned before, is an endowment. So the money comes each year, roughly the same amount, increasing a little bit each year. And it also has, again, to emphasize what's different from the Friends, the opportunity to accept a house, jewelry, equities, or whatever else, which then is turned into cash and put into the endowment.
Yeah, the most we accept is books to sell.
Yeah. So there's two different.
And how do people donate books to you guys?
Through the library, so the
Somebody
books
just
that
brings
are,
them here and.
yeah, the books that are donated to the library, that the library decides they don't want, then they give to us and then we put out if they're in good enough condition to put out.
Okay.
Sometimes they are not in good condition.
Do you guys do like the foundation, like a once a year distribution of the funds? Like same thing, Linda sends requests and then
Yes,
once a year you.
And it's a very similar format of, we send it out to them, they send it out to everybody, they come back, we look at it and go, yay or nay, depending on how much we have to give.
Right.
So some years, we've been able to fund every request without issue, and then some years it's been, okay, we gotta make some cuts because we just don't have the funds for that. So, cool. Yeah.
okay, perfect. Well, thank you both so much for being here. We appreciate it.
Thank you for having us.
All right, so at this point, we'll move on to our action item, which is reviewing the meeting room policies. And Linda, I'm assuming you'll take the lead on that one?
Yeah, in your packet, you have the existing meeting room policy. And there is also markup with recommended updates and changes. Amelia worked with a group of library staff,
Including Damaris.
Not me, I wasn't in those meetings, but I did see the result of their suggested edits. And do you want to give us sort of an overview of some of the big things you were looking at and bigger goals that you were wanting to accomplish?
Yeah, so we have a policy review committee, and we had the goal of just cleaning up some of our policies in general, as well as making them more user-friendly if possible, and also to, you might notice on this policy, we have a section for the policy and then we have a section for procedures. And the idea there was things that change that aren't actually policy-based, we shouldn't have to bring to you to review again and say, hey, we added a new study room, and so we had to change the policy to talk about the study room and the equipment available in it, where that's not really a policy change, and we don't want to waste your time on something like that. So part of the goal was to clean that up. And with this particular policy, we also wanted to change the policy so that this conference room, as well as the small study room, previously called the blue room, are available for people on a walk-in basis. Right now, you have to schedule the rooms 48 hours in advance. And so we wanted a way for the smaller rooms to be something someone could just come and use if it was not otherwise scheduled. So that was also one of our motivators for updating this policy first. Darius, anything else we want to mention?
No, our thinking behind people being able to walk in and use stuff is we want stuff to be used. So if somebody comes in and they're like, oh, can I use that room? Oh, no, sorry, you didn't book it ahead of time. And then that room is just sitting there not being used. And as we all know, we love the stats because the more stats we have, the more money we can get. So that, yes, so, well, potentially. So yeah, that was our big motivator, was to make sure that all of our areas are being used as much as possible by the community.
And we did also, like we discussed last meeting with the program where it was unclear whether the library was sponsoring or endorsing the program, we wanted to include specific language for people to help them be able to stay within that and communicate whether a program is ours or not. So we included specific language to that effect of, this program is not sponsored by the library, all opinions expressed, standard disclaimer language. I don't know if you brought that.
Yeah, I did, and case in point, I think Mark is still here. Mark received a flyer that is a seminar about maximizing retirement income. And it's done by a private group called the Allen Agency, which is not a nonprofit. So they have sent out this flyer that has clearly, I'm sorry you can't see online very well, but it has a picture of the library. There's nothing on here that would make you think it's not a library program.
It looks just like it. It's got
So
a picture
we're
and
gonna be
everything.
having a little chat, unless the board wants to direct us to let for-profit groups do programs.
This is they sent this out in the mail, huh?
And they made the mistake of sending it to Mark, otherwise we would never know.
Wow.
Yeah, that's not good.
So,
It does look like the library's putting it on.
Yeah, they have a caveat on there that it's, not what the Social Security Administration is not endorsing their
but they don't say the
program.
library doesn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, but no caveat for us.
Yeah, that's wrong.
And,
Yeah.
if you look up their
Wonder how many people like that.
reservation, it shows that it's a nonprofit group, but
it's
there's nothing on there that mentions this nonprofit group that agreed to use our meeting room, or requested to use our meeting room.
I think we're inclined to let them have it once, but we're gonna communicate to them, because what we don't wanna do now is turn people away. Well, library still couldn't have this, so,
Right.
but we are gonna tell them for future reference.
Can't use the picture of the name.
Yeah,
That
you've
is
gotta make it
misleading.
really clear that this is not a library program.
Yeah,
So they're just
And you gave them
the
the
location.
Right.
Program.
yeah, you gave them on this, it's gonna have the exact wording, and
Yeah,
I would advocate for a no wiggle room. Put that on there, or you can't meet, yeah, change the phrasing to wiggle out of it or something. Wow.
Agreed.
So does anyone have questions about any of the suggested edits?
Okay. Hearing no questions, I'm assuming we have to take a vote on accepting the changes to the policy language.
please.
All right, so I will accept a motion to accept the changes to the policy as drafted.
I'll make the movement.
Second,
I'll second it.
thank you, Kate. All right, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any nays in the group? Hearing none, motion carries. We have changed the policy. All right. We have our agenda for future meetings. The director's report, as always, looks like book clubs and program planning is coming next time, not this February. And if anyone needs to add anything to that, you can get a hold of Amelia. And otherwise, our next board meeting is scheduled for October 24th. Anything else for the good of the order?
I just want to give a shout out to the policy update committee for their work. They had long in-depth discussions and I think addressed a number of the things that needed updating. Really appreciate the work on that.
Yes, thank you. Anything else for the good of the order? All right, then we will see everybody on October 24th and we will call the meeting adjourned.
Thank you.
Just a question.
Thank you.
That question. It says you can't charge admission for these things or commercial endeavors of any, aren't those people commercial endeavors?
That's,
Yeah,
yes.
in other words, they
I mean, they should
kind
be
of slid
using
under
it,
the radar.
not just because they didn't put the disclaimer that the library isn't sponsoring this, but aren't they also?
right.
Yes.
They just,
Technically promoting it as an educational presentation,
Oh, okay.
but
Are they charging for it?
they're not.
They're trying to get business.
yeah,
But
but
they
it's
are
kind of
soliciting.
yeah, kind of yeah, this is a free presentation. Here's my business card.
Yeah.
Sign up for this 3-day holiday.
Well, we used to have Mary Kay people trying to use
Still
it.
last, really? Mary Kay?
Yeah, and
Okay.
she tried to say, oh, we're just doing
Bye.
an educational.
Bye.
Here, I'm like, no,
Thanks,
you can
babe.
have me.
Yep, you bet.